New footage from Starship Flight 11 confirms a major breakthrough. The booster successfully achieved a stable hover phase, a key step toward full Mechazilla recovery. But this test might mean more than just precision landing. As the ISS nears its end and China's Tiangong gains momentum, SpaceX could be laying the groundwork for America's next orbital station. Let's dive right in. When SpaceX released the full footage of Starship Flight 11, it looked at first glance like another successful test. But those who studied the data closely realized something remarkable. This flight quietly marked a new phase in rocket recovery. For the first time ever, SpaceX achieved a stable hover with a super heavy booster, a precise, calculated maneuver that could change how rockets return to Earth forever. At T+6 minutes and 18 seconds, the super heavy booster ignited all 13 engines. The Gulf of Mexico glowed white with plasma and methane flame. But then SpaceX did something different. Instead of cutting directly to 3 engines as before, they throttled down in stages, from 13 to 5 and then to 3. This wasn't just a burn test. It was a controlled experiment in progressive thrust management. By adjusting the number of active engines step by step, engineers gave the booster more control authority and more time to stabilize its vertical descent. The result was extraordinary. A 13-second hover phase where the booster remained balanced and steady just above the water. This was not luck. It was precision. Every second of that hover proved SpaceX's upgraded control algorithms and engine synchronization had reached a level once considered impossible for a vehicle this massive. The intention was clear. SpaceX was quietly rehearsing the future, a full tower catch using Mechazilla. Up to now, every booster has ended its journey in the ocean. It was controlled, but it was still destruction. Flight 11's hover changed that narrative. It demonstrated that Starship's descent can now be slowed, stabilized, and aligned long enough for Mechazilla's robotic arms to make the first real catch attempt in a future flight, possibly as early as Flight 13. This gradual thrust reduction, 13, then 5, then 3 engines, is more than an engineering curiosity. It's a transition in philosophy. In the early stages, SpaceX prioritized proving that Starship could survive re-entry. Now the focus has shifted to precision landing and recovery. That's the difference between a prototype and a product. Each iteration is teaching engineers how long the vehicle can hover before hitting engine or fuel limits. That data is gold. It defines how far SpaceX can push the system during future tower captures. If they perfect this, ocean landings will be obsolete. No saltwater corrosion, no drifting debris, no recovery vessels. Just one seamless cycle. Launch, land, refuel, relaunch. That's not just efficiency, that's industrial revolution in orbit. Of course, innovation rarely comes without controversy. After Flight 11, photos circulated online showing fragments, COPVS, heat shield tiles, and other debris, drifting toward the Mexican coastline. One viral image showed a dolphin carcass near the wreckage, triggering outrage and claims that Starship had harmed marine life. Within hours, investigators confirmed the dolphin had died days earlier, unrelated to the test. The timing was coincidence, but perception matters. SpaceX responded swiftly, deploying cleanup teams and collaborating with local authorities to retrieve all components for inspection. This wasn't just damage control, it was a lesson. SpaceX knows it must manage not only technology, but also public trust. Environmental credibility is now a strategic asset, especially as regulatory pressure intensifies before full operational approval. And that's why the Mechazilla catch system matters even more. By removing splashdowns altogether, SpaceX won't just protect its boosters, it will protect its reputation. While SpaceX tests the future, the present is showing its limits. The International Space Station, after more than 2 decades of service, is showing unmistakable signs of decline. Micro cracks, coolant leaks, and aging modules have become regular headlines. Even NASA officials have admitted the ISS's operational window is closing. Meanwhile, China's Tiangong station continues expanding with new modules, advanced systems, and increasing autonomy. It's modern, efficient, and already attracting international collaboration. This creates a strategic gap. If the ISS retires before a replacement is ready, the U.S. could lose its permanent human presence in orbit, a scenario unthinkable even a decade ago. That's why Flight 11's success carries weight beyond engineering, because this test proves something deeper. Starship isn't just a rocket anymore. It's becoming the foundation for America's next orbital outpost. From day one, Elon Musk has hinted that Starship's design is modular for a reason. With its 9-meter diameter and over 1,000 cubic meters of interior volume, a single Starship already rivals the ISS's entire living space. Now, engineers are openly discussing the possibility of converting future Starships into permanent orbital habitats. The concept is straightforward yet revolutionary. Once a Starship completes its missions, its fuel tanks can be cleared, interior structures reinforced, and radiation shielding added. What was once a spacecraft becomes a station. The cost difference is staggering. The ISS cost roughly $100 billion to build and maintain. A single Starship, once production scales, could launch for under $10 million. That's a 1,000-fold reduction, and it changes everything. For the first time in history, orbiting habitats could be mass-produced rather than custom-built. Multiple Starships could be linked together, forming wheel-shaped colonies or research hubs. This isn't fantasy. It's the next logical step in SpaceX's plan. But SpaceX isn't alone. Private competitors like Vast, Axiom, and Orbital Reef are racing to build commercial stations of their own. Vast's Haven 1 is already assembled and scheduled for a 2026 launch on a Falcon 9. Axiom is building its first modules to attach directly to the ISS before detaching to operate independently. Orbital Reef, led by Blue Origin and Sierra Space, plans to use inflatable modules to maximize living space. These are all impressive projects, but they're small compared to Starship's potential. While other stations can host 4 to 6 astronauts, a converted Starship could house more than 20, with space for laboratories, workshops, and even artificial gravity experiments. In scale, cost, and reusability, nothing else comes close. And here's the strategic point. If SpaceX can demonstrate full reusability and build a station platform before 2030, it could redefine not just how humans live in orbit, but who owns that orbit. This is where the real story unfolds. The same software that allows the booster to hover and align itself precisely during landing can be repurposed for maintaining station stability in orbit. The same structural materials that withstand re-entry heat can protect long-term habitats from radiation. The same reusability model that makes rocket launches cheaper can make living in orbit affordable. Flight 11 wasn't just a test of engines. It was a test of systems that will one day control a living, working orbital platform. It's a demonstration that SpaceX's iterative design cycle, fast, data-driven, relentless, is working at every level. And in the bigger picture, that means this. The technology that recovers rockets today could sustain habitats tomorrow. The implications reach far beyond the SpaceX. NASA now faces a critical decision: continue developing costly government-run stations or partner with private players like SpaceX for faster, cheaper, scalable solutions. China's advancements have already pressured Western nations to accelerate. Tiangong's crew rotation is routine. Its robotic arm can reposition modules autonomously. If Starship-based stations enter service soon, the United States could regain leadership not through government spending, but through private innovation. This isn't just an engineering race. It's a race for influence. Whoever controls orbital infrastructure will control the future economy of space, from satellite servicing to manufacturing, from lunar logistics to defense. And Flight 11 may have quietly given the U.S. its strongest advantage yet. Looking back, it's clear why Flight 11 matters so much. It demonstrated hover control accuracy within 2%, an achievement that puts SpaceX decades ahead of legacy aerospace programs. It provided critical environmental data to refine splashdown safety protocols. It proved the new V3 configuration is ready for Mechazilla's full-scale recovery attempt. And most importantly, it connected every piece of SpaceX's long-term puzzle, reusability, affordability, and orbital expansion, into one coherent vision. Each second of Flight 11's hover was a glimpse of the future. Rockets that land themselves perfectly, get caught, refueled, relaunched, and eventually transformed into homes in orbit. Its progress built on iteration, precision, and sheer persistence, the kind that turns ambitious dreams into engineering reality. Now all eyes are on what's next. Insiders expect Flight 13 to attempt the first tower catch, possibly marking the end of splashdowns forever. At the same time, Starship's next-generation versions, V3 and V4, are being designed with expanded internal volume and optimized shielding, directly supporting long-duration orbital habitation. In other words, while the world debates the future of the ISS, SpaceX may already be testing the systems that will replace it. Flight 11 didn't just move the program forward, it shifted the timeline of human spaceflight itself. And if that seems dramatic, consider this. Every major era in space began with one test that looked routine, until history looked back and realized everything had changed. If the ISS was humanity's first home in orbit, Flight 11 may have just laid the groundwork for the second. A reusable station, built not by governments, but by innovation itself, forged in fire, stabilized in flight, and destined to change what it means to live beyond Earth. This is exactly why Flight 11 stands as a turning point. It proves SpaceX can now control a 120-meter rocket with such precision that turning Starship into a full orbital station is no longer science fiction, but engineering in progress. The ISS is aging, China is advancing, and America's next step in orbit may already be in development, led by SpaceX. What this means is simple. The future of human presence in space won't be built by governments alone, but by innovation that's happening right now. And Flight 11 was the first real sign of that shift. If you found this analysis valuable, give the video a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Space Hub, where we break down every major space breakthrough with facts, context, and insight. Turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next, because this story is only getting started.